What's up, everybody? That's Sam.
That's Phil.
We are Bars of Barbells, and we're coming to something a little bit different on the channel today, and the top 10 most dangerous hackers in the world.
This is kind of crazy. Yeah, I feel like this is a topic that I always find so interesting because I feel like it's something that can be so scary, but you have to be so smart and have such niche skills to be able to do it.
Well, it's ironic, though, too, because hackers, generally speaking, get recruited into government agencies as a protection mechanism to prevent against people hacking against their systems, right? So a lot of time you have to become a hacker first before you get recruited into jobs where people want your skills.
Yeah, well, that's
right?
the thing, too, right? I think like the term hacker, you think of negative because you're like, oh, people trying to steal my information or my accounts. But there are hackers that combat hackers, right? And good hackers and bad hackers.
Well, there's actually one guy that I saw in a couple interviews about, and I can't remember the name. He started hacking super young, and he obviously had a skill for it, and he got into some drugs and stuff like that and was hacking for the wrong reasons when he was really, really young. And then he kind of turned his life around and realized, I want to start doing hacking, but for good reasons. And so he started hacking or using his abilities to catch sexual predators online. And that's what he's made his whole life mission now, has been going after people that are, targeting young girls and doing stuff on the dark web and all this other stuff, or young girls and boys, I should probably say. And so, in that instance, you see somebody taking those skills and really, shaping the world in a positive way.
Yeah.
So it's not all negative, but also, the reason why I came to this video was because there was a big crypto hack.
Yes, recently.
And we're talking over $1 billion worth of crypto that was hacked by North Korean hackers, apparently. So, and we've been getting introduced to North Korea a little bit more recently because Sam started reading a book by, can't remember her name, something Park.
I can't say it properly. Yoemi, I think is how Park
is her last name. Her
story
story
is
called
insane. In Order to Live, and it's wild.
I saw her podcast on Joe Rogan, and she was just telling her story about defecting from North Korea, and it was wild. You guys should totally check out her story or her book. Sam's already read like 6 chapters in a day, so
I'm like almost halfway through now. But
so there you go. So she's gonna fill me in a little bit more when she reads the book. Anyways, that's how we've kind of arrived at this as hackers, North Korea. Anyways, let's find out about the top 10 most dangerous hackers in the world.
Like and subscribe right now, or this spider will crawl on your face when you're sleeping. No matter the color of their hat, hackers are a dangerous force to reckon with. They can target bank information, PIN numbers, passwords, but they also can stroke mayhem by hacking into the most secure places like NASA and the FBI, sometimes to find traces of ET, and sometimes to leak exotic pictures of celebrities on the internet. Here are the top 10 most dangerous hackers in the world. Number 10, Jonathan James.
Sounds like a fake name.
Between June and October of 1999, one of the most incredible episodes in the history of computer crimes was carried out. And the most fascinating part of it all was that a 15-year-old teen was behind all of them.
15.
Jonathan James, who operated under the pseudonym of Comrade, is considered one of the greatest hackers in history, thanks to his great ability to access private systems for entertainment. He was the first juvenile to be convicted and jailed for hacking in the United States. Starting at 15, he hacked into Bell South, the Miami-Dade school system, NASA, and the Department of Defense, and stole software said to have been worth $1.7 million from the government.
Wow.
That caused the agency to shut down their systems for 21 days and cost them $41,000 in repairs and losses. That was nothing compared to what was actually in the software. It had the source code that controlled critical elements of survival within the International Space Station.
Wow.
It was such a big deal that had he sold it to an enemy country, he would have made millions of dollars. He was sentenced to 6 months of house arrest and probation until he turned 18.
And then they
In
hired
2007, the Secret Service investigated James of a crime he didn't commit. Out of fear of being prosecuted, James committed suicide himself in his shower in May of 2008.
Oh man, that's not
Before we move on.
Number 9, Matthew Beavenon and Richard Price. This British hacking duo took the US government for a ride when they attacked the Pentagon's network for several weeks in 1994. It all started when Richard Price became friends with Matthew Beavenon and instantly started idolizing him. Now, normally a mentor is supposed to take you under their care and show you the meaning of the world, but Bevan had darker plans for Price. Much darker. They copied battlefield simulations from Griffiths Air Force Base in New York, intercepted messages from U.S. agents in North Korea, and got access to a Korean nuclear facility. Price was 16 years old then, and Bevan was 21. The hacking attacks were especially troublesome for the US government because they couldn't tell if the duo was using their system to hack into South or North Korea. If it were North Korea, the attacks could have been seen as an act of war. Luckily, South Korea was the hackers' target, and after an international investigation, they were arrested in the following year. They are also famous for their attacks on NATO and NASA. Number 8. Edward Majerczyk.
Some big organizations.
If you have been on the internet for some time, you probably remember the huge scandal Celebgate. For the curious minds hearing that term for the first time, yes, it was named after the Watergate scandal. Edward Majerczyk had orchestrated the whole thing and was behind the release of nude pictures of many celebrities, including the Hunger Games star Jennifer Lawrence. He engaged in a phishing scheme from November 2013 to August of 2014 to obtain usernames and passwords for his victims. He sent emails to them that appeared to be from security accounts of internet service providers that directed them to a website that would collect their information. After they responded by entering their usernames and passwords at that site, he illegally gained access to their iCloud and Gmail accounts. It was for his personal use, but the pictures were released to the world and they still remain on the internet. As for Edward, he was sentenced to 9 months in prison after he pled guilty. Number 7. Gary McKinnon.
So crazy. I mean, that stuff has been going on for so long where, you spoof and try to get somebody's username and password. And it's even happening, I feel like, more now.
Yeah.
I was just saying to Sam the other day that I was checking our email for our channel, and we had received a private video link where if you click on it and go to the private video, it basically is a video telling you that you're part of the YouTube partnership program and you need to go to this place to, sign up for added, perks or whatever it might be.
Monetization stuff.
But it's like must have been created by AI or something like that, where it looks like it's a general YouTube representative speaking to you directly that was shared this video to you directly. And it's also interesting with that perspective because it's a private video. So it's like not a lot of people can actually see it to call it out as a scam. Just you see it. So it has to be somebody at YouTube or an AI mechanism as a defense mechanism that catches that. So you just see the escalation process already, with the adaptation of AI, where we're going to go with hacking and scamming and all that other stuff is going to be something that we're going to have to evolve with again.
Yeah, I went through something recently where I fell almost victim to something very similar, but it was through Meta. And I actually had to because I had been paying for the Meta verified subscription. I actually had access to talk to somebody immediately about it, which is the only reason why my account didn't get compromised. But long story short, the emails that I screenshotted and showed them look exactly like Meta emails, and the email address was only one character off from the Meta email. There was only one small little detail on the email that was different. So it's like they're very, very good at making high replica copies of what things actually look like from the real companies.
Yeah, and like a lot of other things, if only they put all that effort into making something productive than trying to steal from people, right?
Yeah.
9 months in prison after he pled guilty. Number 7. Gary McKinnon. The hunt for E.T. led this mastermind, also known as Solo, to commit one of the largest cyber attacks on a military system in history. Gary McKinnon hacked nearly 100 American military and NASA servers from February 2001 to March of 2002. What's even crazier is he did it all from his girlfriend's aunt's house in London. He managed to delete sensitive data, software, and files, and the US government spent over $700,000 to recover from the damage. He taunted the military while he was at it, posting this message to their website: "Your security system is crap. I am Solo. I will continue to disrupt at the highest levels." McKinnon is an interesting guy. While hacking NASA, he purposely looked for files that contained evidence of extraterrestrials. He even found filtered and unfiltered, processed and unprocessed files that included the names of non-terrestrial officers, but they never made their way to the internet. He currently still lives in Britain. Number 6. Guardian of Peace.
Don't know who this is, apparently.
Normally, the name Guardian of Peace should be guarding stuff, not stealing and causing havoc between countries. But that wasn't the case for a notorious hacker group. In late November of 2014, Sony Pictures Entertainment was about to release the controversial movie The Interview, in which the plot involves the death of Kim Jong-un. Before the movie was released, Sony was hacked by a group calling itself the Guardians of Peace. The hackers, who were widely believed to be working in at least some capacity with North Korea, stole huge amounts of information off of Sony's network and displayed a scary image of demands. They also posted 5 Sony movies, out of which 4 were unreleased, to file-sharing networks. They also leaked thousands of confidential documents, everything from a private correspondence among Sony executives to salary and performance data about Sony employees.
Wow.
They even threatened to commit terrorist attacks if the film was released anywhere.
Jeez.
Even though nothing violent took place, the hacker group was never found.
Probably because they're in
Number
North Korea.
5. Karl Koch. Hackers these days are famous for leaking pictures of celebrities, but back in the 70s and 80s, computer hackers were responsible for leaking and selling information relating to the Cold War. Such was the case for Karl Koch, who was part of a group called the Chaos Computer Club. Doesn't that sound like what a 15-year-old would name their club? The club was responsible for attacks on American agencies like NASA, as always, Chief of Staff's Desk Bank, and even the Max Planck Institute for Nuclear Physics. They stole information and source codes from the servers and sold them to the KGB. In May of 1989, Karl Koch was found dead under suspicious circumstances. He was actually burned alive,
Wow.
but his death was ruled as a suicide. Reports later said that the KGB or the German state were behind his death to avoid further cooperation. Number 4. Kevin Mitnick.
It's really interesting how it's like a lot of government agencies. That was the first time that we had seen Sony was directly involved in a hack, and it was correlated to, obviously, the North Korean dictatorship, not
We
wanting
were already talking
anything
about.
bad coming out about him, which we already talked about, like you said. And, how are you going to find the hackers if you can't even get into North Korea, right? And especially if they were hired by that government. But I was just going to say, other than Sony, it seems like it's all been government agencies that have been getting hacked, NASA, the military.
I think the only other one was the celebrities.
Right. And that was much more individualized scale than a broad scale. So NASA in particular is something that they've mentioned multiple times, as he just alluded to. And makes you wonder, why have you upgraded your security system? Maybe it's just that they don't feel like they have a lot of information there, that a security breach would be that compromising. I don't know. But
That seems unlikely, but
pardon?
I feel like that seems unlikely. Like they,
Yeah, I'm just theorizing. But, it would make you think, well, you're spending all these tax dollars to go to these organizations. We know NASA spends billions of dollars, and they have that weak of a security system that, these guys can hack from, their aunt's place.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, man. Like, I just, that's something I do have trouble piecing together, is like, you'd think the best people would be working for the government, but that's not true, right? Because people probably make more money working in the privatized sector or working for themselves. And, but that's the conundrum here. We saw that guy in the beginning who died, committed suicide, and he was using his skills for the wrong reasons, where he could probably have been solidifying that network and knowing what hackers are going to do, defending against that, because he's such a, so good at what he does, that he can probably figure out how to prevent that from happening. Instead, he went down the wrong path, ended up committing suicide from that. So
Yeah, I think that's sad too, because they said that the second time what he was being charged with, he didn't even do. So that's unfortunate. I also the thing that makes me wonder is if you're that good to get into all of these systems, how are you not covering your tracks better?
yeah, well, I think it's probably one of those things where you get cocky, right? You get arrogant. You think you can't get caught. It's like a lot of these, they've been saying people are doing it for a year.
Yeah.
Right? They just keep going in. And that's it though. Like you just need to make one mistake and then the guy that's trying to catch you on the other side is going to find you. Right. And it could be just a moment in a network, something, right? I'm not an expert, obviously, but you guys watching this might be. So give us more insights down below.
Despite being denied access to a telephone upon arrest for fear he'd launch nuclear war by whistling a code, the world's most wanted cyber criminal in 1995, Kevin Mitnick, never used his stolen information for financial gain or to cause any harm. He didn't refer to what he was doing as hacking. Instead, he liked to call it social engineering. When Kevin was 15, he learned how to bypass the punch card system for Los Angeles city buses. Later, he graduated to the big time by breaking into the networks of Pacific Bell, Nokia, IBM, Motorola, and a few other companies. He was arrested in 1995, and after serving 12 months in prison, he continued hacking and went on the run for almost 3 years using cloned cell phones to hide his location. He was again sentenced to prison for 4 years in 1999 and was the most wanted computer criminal in the country at the time. Now he's a white hat security consultant and is the author of 2 books. Number 3, Albert Gonzalez. The son of Cuban refugees, 12-year-old Gonzalez purchased his first PC with his own money. Within 2 years, he managed to hack into NASA, prompting a visit by FBI agents to his South Miami high school. At just 28 years old, Albert Gonzalez had amassed a fortune from his credit card theft system dubbed Operation Get Rich or Die Tryin'. He stole more than 180 million payment card accounts from companies including OfficeMax, Dave & Buster's, and Boston Market. Using a basic SQL injection, this famous hacker and his team created backdoors in several corporate networks, stealing an estimated $256 million from TJX alone.
Wow.
During his sentencing in 2015, the federal prosecutor called Gonzalez's human victimization unparalleled. He also famously buried $1 million in his parents' backyard. And with that, it's now time for today's subscriber pick. Today's photo was sent to us by a subscriber. If you come across a photo online and want to know more details about it, just send it over to us. We might even feature it on a future video. Number 2.
Number 2.
Kale Gamble, who used to be known online as Kraka, was the most prominent member of the hacking group Krakas with Attitude, or CWA. In late 2016, Gamble wreaked havoc by hacking into the personal accounts of several U.S. government officials, including the email account of CIA Director John Brennan and the home internet account of Director of National Intelligence James Clapper, as well as several U.S. government portals and tools. At the time, Gamble was just 15 years old. He was eventually arrested and sentenced to 2 years in prison. Even after his release, Gamble was not allowed to use a computer and was banned from using anything that connected to the internet for a year. He is now a free man and has been working on setting himself up to start a career in the cybersecurity industry. Number 1.
Good choice.
Astra.
Astra.
This hacker differs from the others on this list as he has never been publicly identified. Going by the name of Astra, he was apprehended by authorities in 2008, and at that time, he was identified as a 58-year-old Greek mathematician. Reportedly, he had been hacking into the Dassault Group for almost half a decade. During that time, he stole cutting-edge weapons technology software and data which he then sold to 250 individuals around the world. His hacking cost the Dassault Group $360 million in damages. He was sentenced to 6 years in prison. No one knows why his complete identity has never been revealed, but the word Astra is a Sanskrit word for weapon. Have you ever hacked anything? Let us know in the comments. And if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel.
Well, let us know if you enjoyed the video and you want us to check out more videos similar to this. Sam, what are your thoughts?
I thought it was interesting. It's crazy to me that they never released his identity public. Like, that makes me wonder why, like if maybe he's working with them internally or as like a informant or something.
Probably.
Undercover.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking as well. I also think that there's got to be some correlation between why young
I was gonna say so many
boys
teenagers.
are 15, 16, and they're able to do this stuff. I mean, obviously they probably get locked into working on a computer and have no other responsibilities, and that's why. And it's something they're really good at, and they get, passionate about. People ask them to do stuff, they realize they can do stuff, and then they keep going down that path. But it shows, I think, their capabilities at a young age, that they're able to do this stuff. And again, it's like we've talked about this before with you, and that you were interested in computer programming and stuff like that when you were growing up, but really never dove down that path because nobody kind of directed that talent of yours in the right way. And this is an example of that, I feel like, is that these guys, especially in today's world, could build probably insane projects with the capabilities that they have of coding and everything else.
Yeah,
right?
well, what I was just about to say is a lot of this information, like a lot of these people, was situations from the 90s.
Yeah, and early 2000s, I think.
Yeah, which, I mean, obviously the internet was becoming like growing a lot then, and tech was becoming a lot more popular. So that's also probably of interest of people, teenagers at that time. But if you think about the role of technology in society today, it's like every teenager is so exposed to technology now, right? So you'd think that would have only amplified since then.
Well, one thing also is maybe that the security systems were lagging behind.
That's
as
fair.
technology was growing, the ability for them to protect against it wasn't as well known. And so now it does seem like the security systems, cybersecurity, is becoming more important in terms of, maybe that's why government agencies have been protected more, because they're making it more of a priority.
Yeah.
But what I will say is, like, we've seen so many of these instances where they're hacking these government organizations, letting things leak. NASA was one that came up very frequently. But I'm like sitting here thinking, I'm like, somebody give me these Epstein files, bro. Like, if you guys are gonna hack something,
And you're gonna be so
go in and get something that nobody's gonna give a f about, so you have public support anyways. And you might get in trouble for it, but people are probably not gonna lay the hammer down, the gauntlet down on you. Although people go back and forth on people like Edward Snowden, for example.
Yeah. Well, he was somebody I was thinking of in my head, like, before we started this video, right? I was curious to know if he might be on here.
Yeah, but I don't think he was necessarily a hacker. I think he just had access to information and then gave it to the public.
True.
Which he then was causing issues with national security and intelligence, right? So not saying like, there aren't a conflict of interest there, because it does put risks out there. But at the same time, to me, it's like the government is employed for the people, right? So for them to hide things from people is wrong. So anyways, not going to dive into that. I'm just saying that, guys, Epstein list, let's get it dropped.
Another thing that I thought was kind of interesting in this is that multiple of these people, obviously they got caught, they went to jail, they did their time, they did their punishment, and then now they're like successful on the other side of like consulting people against that, right? Like of how to have proper security. So I feel like that's kind of interesting, right? That like, you go down this one path and you become a criminal essentially, and then you come out of it, and now you got a booming business about teaching people to not let people do what you did.
Yeah, but I would say that I would agree, but I think I was surprised that there weren't more people in this list that did that. I think there was maybe 3 or 4. So that's only 30-40% of these people that are doing this end up, on that side and doing something positive.
Well, I mean,
and
a couple of
productive.
them ended up dead. So,
well, that's what I mean, right? Like, I think that. Anyways,
I mean, well, who would you want, right? Like, you'd want the people who are able to do that to help you protect against it, right?
Yeah.
So,
anyways, you can let us know if you want us to continue this conversation in the future by checking out some similar videos related to hacking or something like that. You can drop a comment down below, or maybe another top 10 that you think would be interesting to check out.
Yeah.
Let us know. Other than that, guys, give us the details. Have a great day, and we'll see you soon.
thanks for watching, guys. See you next time.